From the beginning of time, man has had to face many kinds of suffering and affliction, the scourges of epidemics, war, and natural disasters. It is in calamitous times like these that the idea of the Red Cross was born, but it did not take form until shortly after the middle of the last century. The spirit of humanitarian service has no boundary. For this reason, the ideal of brotherhood and selfless devotion for which the Red Cross stands spread rapidly among all nations of the world. In Vietnam, the Red Cross activities have been promoted and developed with enthusiasm, and the Red Cross Society in Vietnam, although young, has already made giant strides to achieve the noble objectives of the Red Cross. The Red Cross comes to the aid of all without distinction of race or color, without discrimination by reason of religion or political ideology. The Red Cross never withdraws in the face of danger, suffering, and death. The Red Cross is there to help. Not only do we establish fixed dispensaries, but we also dispatch mobile medical groups into devastated regions to look after the health of the people. Our Red Cross nurses and our young first aid teams are sent to help in carrying out vaccinations against infectious diseases. War's cruelty is responsible for this distressing picture of mothers with anxious faces and their infants, a prey to disease. Great is the need for helping hands in the Red Cross. Milk, the essential food for young babies, is distributed every morning to more than 130,000 children throughout Vietnam. A part of its nutrition program, these milk stations of the Red Cross are organized in orphanages and elementary schools, both public and private, in Saigon and in the provinces. The problem of relief is ever present to counteract the social ills among the people. it has priority importance in the Red Cross of the Republic of Vietnam. Every day, Red Cross convoys hasten over the roads to bring relief to numberless families made homeless by misfortune, bringing hope of healing care to the bedridden sick. Useful gifts of all kinds are sent to the distribution points by every possible means of transport. Here we see Red Cross first aid teams assisting in the unloading of cases of relief supplies, which will be transported and distributed directly to the needy. The will to serve of these young people often exceeds their physical strength. These young students stand high in the affection of the people. Sampans are the most convenient means of transport in South Vietnam, where the canals and small streams form an intricate network similar to a giant spider web. Here you see us in the act of distributing relief to the needy. Sometimes the relief supplies are sent by air. The boats have been made fast to the moorings. The cases of relief supplies are safely landed. The people from the isolated communities are filled with joy to receive the generous gifts coming from the four corners of the globe. Similarly, we see the population of the district Hien Thien in festive mood to receive the delegation from the Vietnamese Red Cross because it brings happiness to every family. Rice is the staple food of the Vietnamese. This is why gifts of rice have the highest priority among relief supplies, followed next by other foods making up the daily diet of the people. All food aid must be organized on an emergency basis and is distributed under direct supervision of Red Cross personnel. The volunteer women and the young seekers of the Red Cross give the services in order, personally, to carry out these distributions. The delegates of the League of Red Cross Societies in Vietnam always harmonize their activities with those of the Red Cross of the Republic of Vietnam. We cannot imagine how little is left to these unfortunate homeless. They have nothing to eat or to wear. Even layettes for babies are lacking. One little package of biscuits or of bonbons is enough to make their little eyes shine again and dispels momentarily the traces of much suffering. In the midst of these enthusiastic youngsters, there is some satisfaction for the old grandmother who regards these small gifts as the reward for her noble action. The Red Cross distributes its generous relief supplies like this. If it had more to give us, we would find a way to transport it home. If there is a motorbike available, we make use of it. Sometimes we borrow one to take the supplies home. Motorbikes are no longer rare now, even in the countryside. Off we go, loaded, down the road. A never-ending task of the Red Cross is to bind up the wounds of war. Often, these are grave flesh wounds like you see here. But there are others to the spirit that can only be seen in the hurt look and haggard eyes of the victims. Some injuries are far more serious and result in the loss of an arm and even both legs. You see, I lost my real arm, but the Red Cross has given me an artificial one. Now I have to learn how to use it. This is more important than anything else right now. Don't you agree? I always heard I lived in a wonderful age where hopes and dreams would come true, where a bright future filled with promise awaited me. I saw my life unfolding like a bud, swelling with life, ready to burst into flower. Then suddenly, one day, I am a cripple. Love of life turns into hate. I pay for this hate with one of my legs. And now, who will love me with what is left of my poor body? What can I do for my country, for my future? Even the Red Cross does not have the answers to all these questions. In the face of a dark future, let us save what we can so that the days ahead will be less grim. Try to work, friends, one step, two steps, make an effort for the rest of your life. The Vietnamese Red Cross will do all it can to help you walk again down the path of life. Daily trips are organized to bring the amputees to the National Rehabilitation Institute. Lodging and board, together with personal care during the waiting period, will be provided by the Red Cross. These youngsters, more fortunate than their handicapped friends, belong to the Junior Red Cross and devote themselves to helping the amputees. Today, they cover the streets and alleys in the hope of collecting goodly sums of money to improve the pitiful lot of the handicapped. Ladies, do you know that a small saving from your shopping funds given to the Red Cross can bring hope and consolation to these unfortunate victims of the war? To deny yourselves a delicacy will make your gift mean much more. It is not only what you give, but the manner in which you give that counts. So please smile when making your contribution. I still have a little money left, which I gladly give for my less fortunate citizens behind the lines. Vietnamese and Allied soldiers who are ready to give their lives for the national cause never refuse to dig into their pockets for a contribution when on leave in the city. The arrival of the juniors with their collection boxes on the busy street corners of the city is noticed by all. They come full of hope and go willingly, anxious to bring back at the end of their day the funds that will bring joy and comfort to the less fortunate victims of the war. Will they realize their aim? This depends on you, friends, on me, and on all of us. On May 8th, the Vietnamese Red Cross organized a solemn ceremony at its headquarters at 201 Hong Thap Thieu Street to celebrate World Red Cross Day. Among the guests were many high personalities, including the President of the Senate and the Chamber of Deputies, the President of the Supreme Court, the Prime Minister, the ambassadors of Great Britain, Australia, and the United States, and many leaders in the medical and social work profession of Vietnam. Although burdened with many and heavy responsibilities, the President of the Republic of Vietnam was pleased to come and preside at this commemorative ceremony. His presence gave great encouragement to the members of the National and International Red Cross to continue the spirit of sacrifice and selfless service to which they have dedicated themselves. In his opening address, Dr. Pham Van Hat, President of the Vietnamese Red Cross Society, first welcomed all those present and then gave a resume of the work of the Vietnamese Red Cross during the past year. During 1968, the relief program alone, carried out under the auspices of the League of Red Cross Societies and with assistance from 40 friendly countries, distributed aid to 242,514 families, comprising a total of 1,343,405 displaced persons. The cost of this program of aid reached 60 million piastres. Following the president of the Vietnamese Red Cross Society, Mr. Gustav Strichefort, chief delegate of the League of Red Cross Societies in Vietnam, read a message from Mr. Jose Barrosa, president of the League, and one from Mr. Henrik Beer, the League's Secretary General, citing the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the founding of the League. Mr. La Thanh Trung, Vice President of the Vietnamese Red Cross, and at the same time, leader of the First Aid Groups, spoke of the activities of these Red Cross First Aid teams as a vital part of the humanitarian program of the Society. He then presented to the President of the Republic the graduates of the 12th First Aid class who took their oath of service in a ceremony before the assembled guests. This was followed by the awarding of diplomas to the young graduates by the Presidents of the Senate and the House, by the President of the Supreme Court, and by the Prime Minister. These young trainees are truly worthy to be soldiers of charity and solace. In his address, the President of the Republic spoke highly of the spirit of helpfulness as well as the correct but modest conduct of Red Cross work, both national and international. The President of the Republic expressed also the wish that the Red Cross might continually expand its operations with greater and more important results in the field of humanitarian service, in order that it might always serve as a worthy benefactor to the people of Vietnam and to humanity the world over. Thereafter, the President of the Republic and other high personalities placed their signature in the Golden Book of the Vietnamese Red Cross Society and chatted together while taking refreshments. Here, one notices several members of the government of the Republic of Vietnam and those of the International Red Cross, notably the chief delegate of the International Committee in Vietnam, the chiefs of the various missions for medical, social, and educational assistance from a large number of countries present in Vietnam. The President of the Republic took time to visit the temporary center housing the civilian amputees. This is located within the grounds of the headquarters of the Vietnamese Red Cross Society. Here you see the President inquiring solicitously about the condition of each amputee while giving them a friendly word of encouragement. The sad spectacle of these victims of the war deeply moved the President. leaving, the President of the Republic responded to camera fans by posing for pictures together with President Hat of the Vietnamese Red Cross Society and also with the junior Red Cross members. Taking his cue from the President of the Republic, the Prime Minister and the Minister of Information also posed together for the camera fans. In preparing to leave, the Prime Minister and other high personalities could not conceal their deep feelings for these unfortunate children and adults with their deep afflictions caused by the war and disease. How can they ever free themselves from a feeling of resentment, even hate, at the grim lot which life has dealt them at the very time they are in the flower of their youth? How can they ever make the contribution to the important work of rebuilding their country? As long as disasters, poverty, and famine continue, the men of the Red Cross most enthusiastically follow the way of Henry Dunant, founder of the Red Cross, against misery and illness and disease, in bringing back hope and joy in life to every home, to every person.